Thank you, Brutal Game Gear, for sponsoring this video. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Chris Wilmuth, and I'm back with Jason Hunt with part 2. We got cut off a little short last time, but he's ready to roll this time.
Part 2, baby, let's go.
Thanks for coming back.
Hey, man, absolutely. Thanks for having me back. I know I've gone through a bunch of stuff, and you've gone through a bunch of stuff. I came back to Buffalo to try to get my license back, and you got into doing some things with the kids in sports and doing a bunch of stuff. So all good things that kept us from getting back together. But here we are.
All right. So I know we left off last time. You was talking about the league or the tournament thing that you want.
Yeah, the Buffalo's Progressive Pool League.
Yeah. Right. So that's where we left off. So let's
get all the. I know we took most of the time, a lot of that. And I know you had a lot of questions, just the interview questions that we never really got to. So
right. So let's talk a little more about Jason. I know you told me about Reno, and you owning a pool hall out there.
Right.
When was this, and how long was it for? And
so this is what happened, right? So I was on my way to my aunt or my cousin's wedding that was in it's not Martha's Vineyard. I think it was Lake George. And my family rented a van, and it's me, my brother, my parents are driving. And at the time, I'm on a probation for a DWI. So we get a phone call. I get a phone call. I'm sitting in the back. And I said, hello. And they said, is this there's a woman on the other line. She says, is this Jason Hunt? Is this the pool player they call Buffalo? I said, yeah, who's this? She says, well, my name's Sherry Dyden. And I don't know if, and my husband is Diamond Jim. She says, I don't know if you've ever heard of Diamond pool rooms on the West Coast. But my husband owned 3 pool rooms, and they were all pristine rooms. And he recently passed away. And I have recently broken both my ankles, she says, in a horrible car accident. So I don't have the ability to keep up these rooms, and it's my husband's legacy, and I don't want to just give them to anybody.
Right.
And I've done some research, and your name came up as somebody that would take over the room and keep it in its high standards and really grow the culture and the sport of pool, keep the tables up, keep the decor up, improve it, and not lose what it was. So I put it on speakerphone. Now remember, my family, all the stuff that I've ever been through, anytime anything comes up about pool, they want me to quit. They wanted me to quit forever, right? So I put it on speakerphone. They're hearing it, and they're like, oh, my God, here we go, right? Another fucking thing coming into my kid's life that, is going to keep them on this path, right? So, I'm on this probation, and I had the most unique probation ever, okay? So I have a felony DWI. I got 3 in 10 years, but my first 2 were when I was real young, 21 and 22 or whatever. 8 years later, I get one that wasn't even the first 2 I was drunk. This one I had just drank and blew when the guy brought me down to blow, and I wasn't smart enough not to blow. And I blew a .12. .08 is the thing. So nowhere near drunk, but just fresh alcohol in my body. So anyways, they had a law that was just passed. What happened was there was a doctor, one of the most prestigious doctors here in Western New York. He's driving home one night, or maybe it was during the day. It was at night or during the day. Maybe it was whatever it was. He was driving home right by my middle school, Heim Elementary, and Heim Middle, and he hits a little girl on a skateboard, kills her. Gets out of his car, grabs the girl, moves the body, drives to his friend's house, cleans off his Mercedes, calls his wife, tells his wife what happens. His wife turns him in. So what happens is because this guy's a big doctor, got tons of money, he gets off, but they make a law that if you get 3 DWIs in 10 years, it's an automatic felony. Now, I hadn't been in trouble in 8 years. That was my only last time ever being in trouble. I'd never been on probation before, whatever. So when I get this DWI, we go to court, not been in trouble in 8 years, go up to the judge, and my family's so mad at me, they won't help me get an attorney. I got a public defender. And they said, well, we got bad news. I said, well, what's the bad news? He said, well, remember that doctor that hit that girl? I said, he says, yeah. Well, they made a law that in 3 and 10 years is a felony. I said, well, I haven't. My last one was 8 years ago. They said, well, they made the law retroactive. So that means they go back 10 years. So I had, and no, it was more than that because I had missed the cutoff date by like just under 2 months for 10 years.
Right. So
I get a fucking felony because I don't have the money to so I got to plead. So anyway, so I'm on probation, right? 5-year felony probation. But my probation is that I can travel because I proved to the judge that I played pool for a living, right? I had all the tournament sheets, showed him my income, showed him pictures, like put together this thing. Well, I had saved my tournament sheets from when I was younger. So he writes me my probation parameters. I can travel. I can leave the county. I can be in liquor serving establishments. I can be around other felons. Like everything that you're supposed to have on probation, I didn't have any of it.
Right.
Right. So
just had to check in.
Yeah. No, I had to check in. But once a month. So anyways, so I went through a couple probation officers that hated me, right? But they violated me a bunch of times. I go back in front of the judge, and like the judge would be like, "Don't you guys read his thing?" And they're like, "Judge, we can't. Like, what's the sense of him being on probation if he's can do all these things that everybody else in the world that's on probation can't do?" So they hated me, right? So they had it out for me. But you know how probation officers change. So I got this new probation officer called Mr. Anderson, and I had him during this time, and I write this proposal. We speak with Sherry, my parents. They're looking at it. My dad, my mom, my brother, because I wanted to bring my brother in, right? Because he's, this is an opportunity for us to like change our lives through this thing.
Right.
I want my brother to come in with me, and I want to change his life too. And because I had a felony, we had to put the stuff in his name so that we could get a liquor license because I couldn't get a liquor license in my name.
Right.
So we made the deal that I'd let us go half on the thing. You put in your name, I run it, and we just split it. And that was a really good deal for him. So we go to my probation officer, and this guy thinks it's unbelievable. He can't believe I even made this whole thing happen, right? He's super proud of me, and he writes me passes to live in Reno. So we get the pool room. I live in Reno. I fly back once a month, give blood instead of urine,
right,
which they hated as well. The probations, they were like, there's nothing says. So anyway, like everything that I wasn't supposed to be able to do, I could do. So, but now I'm living in Reno. So for almost 2 years, I got this pool room. We invest all this money. We get the tables recovered, and so, but what happened was we didn't know. See, that the pool room was closed for 2 years, number one. And number two, that the previous owner, not owners, what she had done is she had given it and let somebody run it, and they ran it into the ground. Now, of course, right, they're not going to tell us that. Right. So we had to rebuild the whole pool room. A bunch of people had left. It wasn't the same business. Basically, I had to like revive this pool room.
Right.
But it was the only pool room in Reno. So if you can imagine a person moving across the country to a city that they don't know, with people they don't know, and revamping this pool room and making it better than it ever was with the people that were coming back, and I had to go and get like outside people. So I walked around and shook hands with all the business owners. I did collaborations. I had to do so many things outside of a pool room norm to create revenue. Right, because all the most of the pool players were gone. But I had like the monk, Warren Costanzo, who was a living legend in my pool room every day. It was an unbelievable experience. So turns out that so we signed at least $5,000 for our rent for the month, right? Well, after the first year, the landlord sees us doing such a good job, he raises my rent to $7,000, like a greedy piece of crap. And we told him, we said, man, listen, during the summertime, it's tough. Everybody's outside. We don't have the same crowd as before. Reno's a pretty small city. We've been doing everything we can to say. Oh, and here's the other thing. In the beginning, the first year, we invested every penny we made back into the business.
Right.
Now, if I would have known that we would have gotten fucked, I'd have never done that. But every penny we made, we just kept improving and improving and improving. We created an ultra lounge, 5-star ultra lounge on one. It used to be a cigar bar.
Right.
So we turned that cigar bar, revamped the whole thing, put up artwork. I created some artwork myself, got the dartboards in there. My aunt from she bought us one of them big buffalo heads. I put it above the dartboard. Like it was one of the dopest pool rooms you ever seen after we were done with it. So when the landlord raised our rent, after he saw the parking lot packed, we couldn't afford to pay the rent in the summertime.
So what year was this?
Oh man, I don't even remember. 10 years ago. So 24, 15, 16, maybe somewhere over there. Can't even remember. It's been so long. But all the memories are fresh. So it's like, so I have to fly back every month to go check in. Well, one day I fly back and I check in, and there's a sign on the door. It says, all probationers for Mr. Anderson report to room whatever, A17. So I go over to this room and I go in and I got this woman. She's looking at my paperwork and she says, this is the first thing she says to me, Mr. Hunt? I said, yes. She says, it looks like we have a celebrity here. She was all fucking sarcastic. She was like, says here, you've been living in Reno and you own a pool room? I said, yeah. She says, you're on felony probation. I said, yeah. She says, you're not supposed to leave the county. You're not supposed to be in a liquor serving establishment. How are you owning a liquor serving establishment? I said, miss, I went through this so many times before. Read my paperwork. And, she says, I see all this. She says, none of that matters to me. She says, you're not going back. She says, if you leave, I'm going to violate you again. I said, I've been violated 5 times. Nothing's ever happened. You guys keep violating me for being within the restrictions of what the judge, every time we go in front of the judge, they're like, all the probation officers hated me. The only one that respected and liked me was Mr. Anderson. And now I got another fucking hater ass bitch, right? So I couldn't go back. I couldn't help my brother continue the business. He was there all alone. He wasn't really, you know, he had to learn on the fly kind of and create things. He wasn't the pool player. I was coaching him over the phone all the time. He was doing his own thing. We had problems and stuff like that. So, but the bottom line is that, and you have to, in order to get a business. So now we're trying to move, right? We're trying to find a new location in Reno. And it was going to cost a lot of money, and we were trying to find a partner, right? Because, our money was done, and we didn't have we put all our money back into the business, so we didn't have any savings. So we're trying to find a partner to come in, help us move. So turns out that in order to get a business loan, you have to be in business for 2 years. Our landlord, I'm telling you, man, people are pieces of shit in this world. Our landlord closes our family business. We're now in for $180,000. 1 month before 2 years. How you like that?
How can you do that? Were you behind on the lease?
Yeah, we're behind. We're behind like 2 months in the summertime. Yeah, we would, and they wouldn't. We were like we were behind. However, it got to be, because I wasn't there at the time, and it was my brother. But I think the number was we were behind like $14,000 because my presence made a huge deal when I was gone. It wasn't making the money that it was when I was there. And then the summer months came along and all these things. I think the number was like 14,000. So they took our 2 diamond tables and we had to put everything else in storage. And so 1 month before 2 years, so that I think, the guy had, and this is what we found out later, right? So later, we found out from the property manager, because the property manager was like, knew that was fucked up, but apparently she couldn't tell us because she was working for the guy and it would jeopardize his job.
Conflict of interest. Yeah.
Conflict of interest. So afterwards, she told us this was the guy's plan the whole time. He didn't want the pool room anymore, but it was sitting for 2 years. When he had an opportunity to bring some people in and get it running again and put some money in his pocket, that's all he wanted it for. The guy owned the whole plaza. This guy was like a multi-millionaire. He had a bank on it. He had an alcoholic laundromat. First time I ever seen that before. You could do your laundry and buy a beer. Had a pool table in it. He had a Taco Bell. He had like a couple other stores. Like, the guy had money coming in on this piece of property. He didn't need to do this to us. You know what I mean? It was really some evil, rotten shit. But that's how it happened. And so we lose the pool room 1 month before 2 years. All the money's down the drain. We put the stuff in. We put it in storage. And for like 6 years, we had a pool room in a box. We couldn't find anybody to buy it, because what happened is now, and we have what's known as Rebco tables. I don't know if you ever heard of Rebco tables. Rebcos were a really good oak table that was popular in California before. If you didn't have Brunswicks, you had Rebcos.
Right.
They're all 9-footers. We had 3 bar tables, but all 9-foot tables, like a real pool room. And and we had 2 diamonds. So we had 2 diamonds, 2 Brunswicks, and the rest Rebcos. I think we had 15 total table. I think we had 14. We had 11, or no, we had 12 9-footers. Yeah, we had 15, 12 9-footers and 3 bar tables is what we had. So, but it was such a great experience, man. Just even the struggles of going through, like coming up against all odds and overcoming the obstacles and having the monk in there every day and just being around this living legend and watching people come from all over to play in one pocket, and they would play him even. And so when I got the place, they were like, "Oh, the monk, the previous owners never charged the monk table time." No, first I'm thinking, "Oh, I mean, what does that got to do with us? We got to make money, buddy." And this guy's on the table all day. Like, well, so I just whatever, right? I continued with the tradition. Listen, this guy would have a line of people show up to play this guy, play him even one pocket, play him 20 to 50 a game, and play him for 8 hours. And he'd just torture these people. And he'd like, if anybody when they watch this knows the monk, he doesn't have a very happy disposition. He's a belligerent motherfucker. He'll motherfuck you, and what are you doing, you fucking idiot, and this and that. And like, he'll just verbally abuse you the whole time. And they loved it. They lined up and they showed up like clockwork. And I got on, and he'd win 4, 5, 6, 1,000, 500, 1,000, 350, 8, and I'm like, buddy, how am I not charging your table? It ain't like you're winning all this money. I'm letting you just doing it for free. The other guys got charged table time, but I couldn't charge them double time.
No.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was all right. It was necessary, I did it because I'm somebody about tradition. I'm somebody that, if that was their tradition, I respect who he was. I felt lucky to have him in my room. And he was old.
And
so I wanted to take care of him.
Yeah, those other people. Yeah, and those other people weren't going to be in there if he wasn't. So he brought you business.
But those other people didn't spend really no money. But but it was like I said, once I saw how much money he was winning, we didn't charge very much in table. We charged $5 an hour. You win 500, you can't throw me 40. But it was a funny thing, And sometimes on our slow days, like I've seen him win $1,000.
Yeah.
On a slow day, we might not have done $1,000. There's been times when the guy won more money than the business took in. So yeah, but it was amazing, man. It was amazing. We were the only real pool room. I felt extremely lucky that Sherry did her research, and whoever told her that I would be somebody that would be able to extend, the history, the
guy's legacy.
Her husband's legacy, basically. And so, that's really kind of how it happened. And so, and then in that time, we couldn't find nobody to buy the pool room because it was all Repco tables. Everybody wants diamonds now.
So I wonder how that landlord treated the previous owners.
I got no idea.
And it's a shame. It's a shame Sherry didn't own the building, because you'd probably still be there.
Oh, for sure. For sure. 1,000% we'd still be there. But Reno was a tough town for pool anyways, because there's not a lot of people. Yeah, the casinos. But there's just not a lot of people. And it's like a hippie. Everybody's it's like the mushroom culture, the acid, like they're all doing things outside in the summertime. They got Lake Tahoe, they're fishing, they're camping, they're going on trips, and they're doing this and they're doing that. The older cultures in the casinos, and the summertime, the wintertime, they're snowboarding, but that's when our business was most of the time. But they had Lake Tahoe right there. It was tough. It wasn't the easiest place to begin with, and what we were up against made it a lot tougher. But we succeeded, and the only reason that we failed is because the guy who raised our rent and put us out of business. And then come to find out that that was his plan to begin with. And then what makes it even sicker is for 4 years, the place stood empty. And then you know what he put in place of my pool room? A fucking bead shop. selling beads to make necklaces. How you gonna get 5,000-7,000 a month out of them guys? There must be a lot of people selling beads and buying beads in Reno. Like, it blew my mind, man. It was a real messed up thing for that guy to
I'll
do.
tell you, Native Americans and Indians and Mexicans, they'll buy them beads and do beadwork. My wife is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, and I don't know what it is now, if it's still there or whatever, but that's what happened. It was closed for like almost 4 years. It was not a penny being made, and then they put in a bead shop. So, almost, you know, that's where I need to be, back to running and owning a pool room, or just allowing somebody to create the things, you know, because I brought in like the women's tour, I brought in the women's tiger tour, I did everything. I taught the kids. I even got there was a local kid that was pretty good, and I called the news and I got him on the news. And you know, I have a heart that always wants to give back and grow. Anybody that's ever been around me knows I just love to grow, because I feel, listen, when you got a talent that God gave you,
Right.
you feel obligated to give back. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. And everybody else, you know, especially my family, you got to be more selfish. You got to do things for you. I'm just not that way, man. You know, I'm really not that way. I'm not a do for me type of person. I'm a do for someone. Now, when I get on that pool table, I'm gonna try to get the money.
That's
But
true.
you know, the money goes to whoever's around me, my girl, her kids, my friends, whoever. You know what I mean? Like, let's go out and have a good time. You know, I don't know, man. I don't know how to be selfish.
Right.
Right. Apparently, it's a bad quality. But,
So, tell me a little bit about the reality show.
well, when I was younger, okay, so I'm living this life, right? And everywhere I live, I become the most dominant player. I'm the guy that goes on winning streaks of, you know, my longest winning streak is 72 days in a row. Never booking a loser for 72 days. I used to go on month and a half win streaks, you know, on a consistent basis. So when I would come into these cities, now there's a couple cities I didn't do it in. Didn't do it in Atlanta. Didn't do it in New York City. But I did it in San Antonio. I did it in, you know, fuck, where else have I lived? I did it in Tampa. I did it in Red Bluff. I mean, wherever else I've lived. The only ones that I haven't done it in is Atlanta, because it was like they had some restrictions and stuff, and they had top players. So if you had pro quality players, those were the guys that would beat me. But in all the other cities, I became. And the other thing is a lot of those guys, they didn't play all the time in the tournaments. They were out in major events, and they were gambling. They had stake horses. I never had stake horses. I bet my own. My living comes from waking up every day, grabbing my pool cue, and going to work. Same as anybody else, as a regular job. My whole life, people like, get a regular job. I'm like, buddy, this is a regular job. You're the one that's trying to stop me from doing a regular job because you're jealous that you couldn't do it. You're mad that you got to go punch a fucking clock, talk to, you know, worry about a boss. and I'm making more money than you. That's what you're mad about. You're mad I got a pocket full of thousands and you don't. You're mad that you come to the pool room and you can't beat me, and then you're a hustler, go get a job. Get out of here. These are for, working. No, man, this is a pool tournament. See, I never hustled pool in my life. I was a headhunter. I played all the best players. One of the reasons I didn't have and held on to the things that I had, the amount of money, as soon as I found a better player, I'd go blow as much money as I seemed to could. Like, I don't know what quit is. I remember one time, and it came up on my Facebook memory. One time I lost 10 sets in a row to Ronnie Wiseman, and then jacked a bet and lost another 10 sets in a row. I mean, I lose a lot of money. So, but the point is that I've never been a pool hustler.
Right.
I got good. I got good by getting beat, number one. And then I got good enough where I could consistently win these pool tournaments. So with this talent, and I would make the most unbelievable outs. That's what really kept me as a winner, is like when you're in jail and you're in Alcatraz, like I caught, where you got no shot, kicking a ball, run out from nowhere, run a 4-pack, jump a ball, full cue, draw back, break out the, like, just do crazy, crazy shit from nowhere. If you can't do that stuff, you're not able to win over and over and over and over again. You might book a winner here and there, but that stuff just kept showing up in my life. So, and then I get punished for it, right? Oh, you're too good. You won too much. You're not allowed to play no more. They handicap you more and more. I don't know how many places I've lived where they handicap, like, I'll have a handicap that nobody else will have. Like, I'm giving the best players in the city weight.
Right.
So they'll just make it where I can't. So I'm sitting back, right? And this is when I was younger. And I used to have a life blast. So the first thing I did was I was like, I'm writing all this shit down. Because when I tell the stories, people are like, oh, well, and this is like the main thing, right? Oh, Jake, you would get drunk and this. Listen, everybody's drinking. We're all drinking. I'm the guy that's winning. So I'm the guy that they start a problem with, try to cheat, call a bad hit, start talking shit. And I'm not one to sit there and take it.
Right.
And because I'm the new guy and I'm from out of town, if I'm down south, New Orleans, another place, dominated New Orleans, dominated Baton Rouge. So these people, I'm the enemy. I don't get the same reactions as their hometown heroes. It's okay for their hometown heroes. And as a matter of fact, when I come to town, if they did hate the hometown hero, that's the guy that they now rally behind to beat me. And like in Vegas, there was a guy, this guy, the hell's his name? Nino. He told me, he said, and this is the last time I lived in Vegas. He said, I love the fact that you moved here, because now everybody hates you instead of hating me. He said, you're the white Nino. So I would, it seemed, human nature is always to hate the best until they get famous and rich.
Right.
Okay. Right. Look at just like we went through with Sean King. Remember, I asked him, how many places can you play where you live? He said, none. I can't play in no tournaments. Maybe once, whatever he said, once a month or whatever it is. Maybe it's a handicap. But it's like somewhere along the line in pool. Now, I understand it might be human nature as general if you're not see, I don't have a hater bone in my body. I don't know what it's like to hate somebody better than me. I don't know what thoughts in my mind never come up. How do I sabotage this human being because I can't beat him fair and square? So how can I create a rule, start a fight, get them barred, create a scenario where I can point a finger at them and say, hey, look at the problem again with Jason or XYZ. See, I can't relate to those things. So, but apparently this is, what people do. And I've learned this. So, so in the beginning, I said to myself, man, if this stuff was being filmed, it would be like an HBO special,
Right.
But instead I'm paying the biggest price for it. So I started writing. I created a life blog through GoDaddy.com before MySpace. This was before MySpace. And it was on AOL. You put your website out on AOL. And I had 7,500 followers from all over the world. Indonesia, China, Japan, New Zealand, Russia, everywhere. So I'd come home and I'd write up the stories and I'd post them. And I get a call one day. This is later because I started posting it on MySpace. So I started taking my link from my website and putting it on MySpace. And so maybe that's where somebody saw it. But somebody called me and they said, hey, we're from Dick Clark Studios. Are you Jason Buffalo Hunter? I said, yes. Did you have the life blog, where the buffalo roam.info? I said, yep. And they said, where are you coming up with this stuff? So what do you mean? So like, well, are you, it says a life blog, but this is, what are you, just writing stories? And I said, no, what do you mean? This is what happens to me every day. This is a daily thing. They're like, really? I said, yeah. And this was in the beginning of the time when these reality shows first started popping off. So they said, we'd like to fly you down here and meet you. So they fly me down business class. They get me picked up. One of those Lincoln limos. They drive me to the thing. I go into the boardroom and I wanted to take a picture of it, but they wouldn't let me. But I took a picture of the Dick Clark Studios and me. I posted that on my Facebook too. I still have those pictures. But so I go in and it's just like in the movies, man. There's this huge long ass boardroom table and all these pictures of all the Hollywood movie stars, Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, Dick Clark, Clark Gable, all the old timers, Charlie Chaplin. And there's like 10 people in the room. And they come and there's two guys sitting at the head of the big table, and they sit me right there and they start talking to me. And they said, they're talking to me, they're like, these stories can't be real. I'm like, well, what do you mean they can't be real? I started getting insulted and I got kind of mad, right? So you guys brought me down here to tell. I said, I already told the person on the phone that this is my life. It's what I write. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, who the fuck is gonna just sit there and make shit up? I'm like, the reason I wrote this stuff down is so I have an accurate account of what really is going on in my life. Because all the stories out there, when people talk to them about me, they ain't telling the truth. And I'm getting punished for my talent and for winning, and they're causing these problems. And people are like, oh, it's Jason's fault. No, I'm a reactionary. I react to the way people treat me. Right. I'm out there just playing pool, having a blast, blowing hundreds at the bar, got a girl. Like, my life is good, buddy, until you do something to stop me from winning. I don't cause no problems. But if you cause a problem with me, I'm going to fucking say something. But when the story gets told by these other people, story's never right. No. It's always Jason got drunk, crazy. Jason started. It's all bullshit.
Always
I
use twisted.
reacted. Yeah, I reacted, and sure, we're all drinking pretty much all the time at the tournaments and whatever. And that was the only time I drank. I didn't really, I didn't go out and drink or this and that. It was just playing pool, and but it all got blamed on alcohol. And I'm sure it exaggerated my responses, but I promise you, I have almost the same responses. This is just my personality. You know what I mean? This is like right now. This is how I am. This is the same way. If anything, I get more secluded until somebody starts with me when I'm drunk, unless I'm having a good time. But just regardless, the things that were being told were never the facts.
Right.
So I started writing down the facts, and then also the things like, I'd end up in mansions. I'd end up here. I'd end up there. Just because of my character and my talent, people would be attracted to me. I'd make friends real easy, and they'd bring me out into their life. And so I lived this amazing, like every day was like another fucking episode. So I just started writing them down. So when I tell them guys that, I'm like, who are you? The one guy says, I'm the CEO. I was like, you're the CEO? He says, yeah. And I said, well, who are you? Because it was really the two guys that were talking all the time. He says, I'm the CFO. I said, you are the runner? You guys run this? The president, the vice president? They're like, yeah. I'm like, what do you guys do? Is this what you know? They said, no, we just had to meet in person. The person that says they're writing these stories and look him in the eye when he tells us that this is really his life. I'm like, well, here I am. So they said, this whole thing was crazy. So they tell me how it works. This is how it works. The first step in a reality show is they make a pilot series. The pilot series goes from 3 to 13 episodes. I think that's what it was.
Right.
Or maybe it was 6 to 13. 3 or 6 to 13, but it went up to like 13. And or maybe it was 12. Maybe it was half a year to once a month. I don't remember but it was a big swing. So the other thing was, it was from the low number to the high number. And then they had a range of pay per episode. And the range went from 3,000 to 6,000. And then what happens is after the first season, or if it gets picked up, after the first season, you can come back in with a lawyer and negotiate according to the characters. So since I would be the main character, I would have bigger negotiation things. Right. But I wanted to bring in other people in pool. And who I wanted to bring in were real pool players that actually played pool for a living. And I had one girl that I wanted to bring in that actually gambled, who I had met and had gotten kind of close with at the time, was Emily Duddy. And so she was the female that I wanted to bring on. Now, none of these people, Scott Frost was another person I wanted to bring on. None of these people had any idea. Alaska, Sean Morgan from New York City. Who else? It was so long ago, I can't remember. I know it was, I wanted Emily as the girl. I wanted Scott as the pro, because he had bet a lot of he had stories that we would have never had, and he could play the pros. Scott could play the pros. He was a very controversial person, which was good for TV, and he was able to bet big money because he had stake horses. And you know, he was a world-class one pocket player. So anyways, so he was that guy. Emily was the gambler because I know she bet her own money. The way I met her was playing her for her own money. That's how I met her. So I knew she gambled, and she wasn't the best player, but she gambled, which I liked. And then but I wanted real pool players. She was the only one that wasn't a real pool player, but she was a female. She was cool. I liked her a lot, and I wanted to bring her on. But these people had zero clue. So I put together this little cast. I think there was 5 of us. And they were like, I said, now listen, this is going to change these people's lives. I said, so I want the most episodes and the most money for all of us. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's pennies to you. I know we're going to be on the high side, but we, you know, it's tough for a pool player because of the circumstances. And they got they got all the printouts. So like, yeah, it's got to be fucking to like, this is really what they can do to you. They can tell you can't play. They can tell you got to go to more. What is this handicap thing? What type of, like these normal human beings cannot grasp
the pool world at all.
The pool world at all. So it's completely unbelievable to them. And they're like, you're still able to overcome all this stuff and bop, 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 bop. I'm like, yeah, man, wow. You know, and so this is what they did. They said, they go into the meeting, they come back. They said, this is what we're going to do for you, Jay. We're going to give you, came out to 72, it's 6. We're going to give you 11 episodes at $6,000 a piece. This, I don't even know if it's ever been done. Nobody comes in at the top.
Right.
We're going to give it to you because if all this shit is true, we've been sitting here now for 3 hours with you. You have what's known as the it factor.
Yeah.
And that's what we look for. That's what we look for in here in Hollywood is the it factor. We don't have to teach you nothing. All we got to do is let you be you. So, you know, and they had writers, directors, like they had all these people. The only people that talked to me was the president, the vice president. All the other people, nobody told them, said nothing. So those are the guys, when they all went into the room, those are the guys that said, this is what we're going to do for this guy. And then they came out and they told me, I don't think we've certainly never done it. And I don't think it's ever been done. We don't know about everybody else's stuff. We only know what we do here at Dick Clark Studios.
So they were gambling on you.
So we're going to put this together, but you got to stay in Hollywood. There's nothing that, you know, that's on you. We're going to give you this, but you got to stick around here until we put it all together and you all get the contract signed. It's okay. So this woman that I knew called her up and I said, find me a place to stay. And she says, it just so happens that the guy that they're going to make a movie about this guy, and the movie was made, called Spun. You look it up, watch Spun. This guy just got out of jail. He was a meth dealer, and they're making a movie about him. And they just got him a hotel. I said, I ain't living with no fucking meth head that just got out of jail. Are you crazy? I said, I got all these expensive clothes. I got pool cues. What I mean, next thing I know, I'm going to have nothing. The guy's going to sell up. So, hell no. So she calls her. This is all in one day when she picked me up. She calls her boyfriend. Boyfriend lives in the Hollywood Hills. She says, honey, I got this guy that they're going to do a reality show with. He needs to stay in Hollywood until they put it together and he gets to sign his contracts. Because, you know, they got to draft up the contracts. So they got to do all that. They got to go to attorneys and blah, blah, blah. So apparently it was going to be like 2 months before. I got to be there for at least 2 months. So she brings me this and she says, and this is how, like, I'm telling you, man, this is so crazy. So she says, I'm going to have you live with my boyfriend, but I know he's cheating on me. So you got to be my inside guy.
You're the spy.
I'm a spy. I said, hell no, Holly, are you crazy? You're gonna have me live with the guy and fucking be telling him, you know, what happens if he finds out? He'll kill me. He's doing me a favor. I don't gotta pay no, like I was gonna stay there for free. Because I can't make no money. You know, I'm basically like just in limbo until we sign a contract. So she says, well, then I'm not doing it. She says, you wash my back, I'll wash your back. Now what the fuck, man? So
Desperate
you know
times.
how long? So you know how long it took her to tell him? I was in the car 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I'm in the car with her because she would pick me up every day. We go out, we talk. She'd show me around Hollywood. She'd take me out to eat. I went to a couple of Hollywood parties with her, models, all that shit. I'm in the car with her. Phone call. Is that motherfucker with you? Tell him all his shit's outside and the fucking blah, blah, blah. You put this guy in here. And because obviously, when she told him, you know, she didn't tell him that I had to, like, he doesn't know. He just thinks I told on him. And she told him. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is how crazy women are, bro. Like,
No
you know
shit.
what I mean?
I know it.
I'm lucky she didn't the guy didn't kill me while I was there. So all my stuff's out. I have nowhere to go in Hollywood. They break up. Listen, when I was at this guy's house, it was just like the movies, buddy. We'd wake up every morning. This guy would have pina coladas. He'd have models over. And yeah, he was cheating on her. We were banging models every other day. He's on the Hollywood Hills. He's like, look, there's Mel Gibson's house. There's this, we're in the back of the fucking Hollywood Hills. Like, you know, it's margaritas, ceviche, and cocaine and alcohol all day long. Models, banging them out, this, that. I mean, it was crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Like a true Hollywood party house, this guy. And he just had his doors open. Nothing but women. Nothing but women. And, you know, I'm telling her, like, why do you need me if you know? Why do you? She's like, oh, because I never seen it. I just have people tell me that, you know, that are on the block. The neighbors is always. I'm like, Holly, you know, just don't put me in the middle of this. Well, then I'm not doing it for her. So here I gotta go be in the middle of it. So the guy throws me out. And she, so now she's got to come get me. Well, I was in the car. We had to go back, pick up my stuff, get out of there. I don't have no money. She doesn't have any money because these Hollywood people are broke a lot. She's like an agent or something, whatever. She's fucking broke. She don't got no money to give me. I slept in front of the Hollywood Hotel on Hollywood Boulevard for 2 days until my friend Sean Lane, who's going to see this, and he can verify this, comes and drives from Thousand Oaks picks me up, and I stayed at his house for a couple days, and then man, it just constantly goes on, and we don't want to get. So that's how the original thing. I was the first person that ever started this reality show thing about what it's really like to play pool for a living. Now, this idea, right, is floating around Hollywood, and other people are trying to pick it up and this and that. Oh, excuse me. And so these guys tried to do it, like Ronnie Wiseman actually tried to do one, and them out in New Orleans with the players out of New Orleans, and Jamie Farrell, the red the Red Rooster, who was a good player. Red Robin, the BB gun, the Red Robin, the Red Rooster, Jamie Farrell. So you can go on the internet, you can go on YouTube and look at that, and that was like a real low budget thing they try to do. But that whole thing started with me. And my mentality was to change some people's lives in pool that, other than Scott and Emily, it would have changed Emily's life, Scott's life. I mean, of course, it would have changed everybody's life. But the other people, like Sean Morgan, who's now the manager at Amsterdam Billiards, and a couple other people, Justin Hall, I think, was one of them because he was a good friend of mine. I wanted to bring Justin Hall in, and but these people never even knew, right? This was just me having an opportunity to bring these people on and give back and change their lives. So as the thing went on, the idea gets picked up, and that's where the hustlers come from New York City, is that guy, Anthony DePalma, or whatever the hell his name is, from New York, took my idea, put together a cast of characters, and Emily was on that too, but that would, like, none of them played pool for a living. And it was the fakest thing in the world. So it was the complete antithesis of what I wanted to do. Anybody that watched it knew it was the biggest joke, the biggest flop, and it never got a second season. Right. But they got it there on that first season, and but that was like, so yeah, that's where it all came from. It all came from me.
Yeah, yeah. I watched every episode of the Hustlers. It wasn't that entertaining, but I couldn't quit watching it.
Right.
And I
yeah,
tried,
everybody.
and I reached out to all of them to try to get them together to do one big Zoom meeting, but none of them want to be on the same call together.
Really?
Yeah. So I talked to Finnegan. He doesn't want to. He said, "I'll do an interview with you," but he said, "I want to do it by myself." And then I talked to Ross. Well, Ross is okay doing an interview with everybody as long as Amy's not on there. So I said we had a bad breakup. He said we can't be in the same room. I said it'd be all on Zoom. He said we can't. He said we can't even be in the same Zoom room together. I said all right. So how'd you help? How were you involved in getting Hustling Clothing going?
Okay, so at the time, I was the best player in Vegas, and I was at the BCA thing, and they wouldn't let me play in the Open. They said I was too good to play in the Open. Now, here's the thing. The people that ran the BCA were from Vegas, and I was the most hated player in Vegas. I dominated the city, beat everybody, all the top players, beat them all, barred from everywhere. So I'm hated. Played on a BCA team. We didn't win. We didn't even win our thing. I just qualified, but they wouldn't let me play in the Open, and I was pissed. But during that time, a girl comes over to me who's Tony Hargain's girlfriend. Sweetest girl ever. Unbelievable girl. And forget her name right at this moment. You'll notice that'll happen to me when I try to remember things because of my Bell's palsy. It stutters my brain. It'll stutter like it used to be worse. It used to stutter my speech worse. But it like triggers my brain where I can't like fully remember things all the time.
I know exactly how you feel. 2013.
Oh yeah,
You got me. Yeah.
they gave you the shot, right? They gave you the cortisone shot and it went away.
No, they I just took pills for a little while and wore a patch over my eye, and you could tell the effects on me for about 3 months. And I
This
thought
has
I
been
built
over
it.
10 years.
Hmm?
They never, because I didn't have insurance, they wouldn't give me anything. They said, "Oh yeah, it'll go away." It never went away. Never. It's
Well,
not as bad. I used to look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Here's another funny story, real quick though. That year that I got it was my first year that somebody wanted to pay my full ride to the Derby. I called him up and told him, "Listen, I can't go. I just got Bell's palsy." He says, "Unless you're fucking dead, you're getting on that plane." He said, "It's all paid for. I don't give a fuck." And guess what? That's the year that I got 13th through 15th in banks. I was in the 8th round. I was the only amateur without a buyback. And I lost by 1 ball to Lee Van Corteza and 1 ball to Jeremy Jones. I was so nervous that I couldn't make straight cross sides and cross corners. I could have beat them both. I was banking so good. Water pouring out of my eye, my whole thing coming down. And that was the same year that I brought TV Mike up to because I had that free ride. I told him I was friends with his girlfriend who followed me, was a fan of mine. Never met her. Never met her. She calls me one day and says, "Hey, my boyfriend is starting these live streams." This is when live streaming was just coming out. And up here in Michigan, and I know you don't know me and I know you don't know him, but he got the opportunity to do his first paid gig. And he's not the most liked person and nobody will let him come stay. And would you let him come stay with you? And I said, if it's going to give this guy a chance to do something for his career, absolutely. Everybody needs help. And if, I got this free ride, and sure, he can come stay. He doesn't have to pay me nothing. And then they tried to screw him, and they tried not to pay him and keep his footage. And I wrote the email that got him paid. So not only did I give him the opportunity to do that, but I wrote the fucking email to the guys, because he's like, man. I said, "Give me the fucking computer." And I threatened, like I wrote it as him, and threatened to sue him and this and that. They paid him. So not only did I give him his first paid break, but I actually got him paid when they tried to screw him.
was this the Diamond?
This was 2010. This was the straight pull challenge.
Was it Diamond though that he was streaming for?
No, he was independently streaming, I think.
So it wasn't Greg Sullivan.
No, I don't want to, because the people that it is are.
I understand. I understand.
I'm friends with, so I'm not gonna put them out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they tried to get him, and I got him paid. And I guess now I just let the cat out of the bag that I was the guy that wrote that email that got him paid. But that was me. So anyway, but yeah, so I started. So that got Mike. That put TV Mike on the map. And then after that, I came back to Michigan. it was just story after story with that guy, man. The more I did for him, the more he screwed. I mean, he screwed me over while I was staying with him. I mean, it was like left and right, buddy. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how I gave him the opportunity to do what I just did with him, and he screwed me over. And all the money I mean, the guy just bought a $53,000 brand new Toyota Sienna from the money I won with him. I mean, it's just crazy, man. These people in pool, they're users, they're losers. They need to piggyback off other people. Like the bottom line is we're the talent. If
Right.
if there was no us, there would be no live streaming. Really, it comes here's the chain: the pool room owners, because without the pool room owners, we don't have a place to play. Then the players, then the people that put together whatever they put together. You know,
Yeah.
without us, you can't have a tournament, and without a venue, there can be no pool players.
Right. And there's a lot of things that associated with pool that wouldn't exist if it weren't for the players. But that's any sport.
Right. And without the
But
Michael Jordans, the basketball wouldn't be what it is. Without the Tiger Woods,
yeah.
so it's the guys that God puts on this earth to have everybody to have it. Here's really what it is: when strangers can watch somebody and be inspired or be drawn over there, those are the special people. Those are the ones that I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Tiger. Those are the guys that God puts on this earth, the Michelangelos, the Da Vinci's, the this person, the that person, the ones that God ordains with the uber talents that everybody else says, I want to become a sculptor. I want to become an artist. I want to become this. So you have to remember the guys, some of them guys, like the Van Goghs, them guys weren't, they got famous after they died.
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci, you can look at his shit. If you look at a Picasso, you're like, this thing's $20 million. The only reason you know it's a Picasso is because somehow. But if you look at a fucking Da Vinci, if you look at the Sistine Chapel, if you look at David, the statue of David, if you look at doesn't matter who you are in life, that is art. That is talent. I want to be able to be like, don't nobody look at a Picasso and say, I want to paint like Picasso. The guy looks like he's a fucking, you know what I mean? So, but those are the people that God puts here in every walk of life, that when strangers see it, that know nothing about whatever they're doing, they go, damn, that is amazing. And I might like to try to do something. Maybe I could be like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so back to the hustling thing. So, I'm in the BCA, and this is the same year that I met Shane Van Bonen. As a matter of fact, it happened. It was so funny. It happened almost at the exact same time. So they don't let me play in the Open. Didn't have enough money for the pro event, and oh no, wait. This is how it worked. This is what happened. I played in a mini tournament. Played in the Grandmaster mini tournament because remember, I wanted to. I'm always a guy that wants to play the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to sign up for the tournaments, and they say, "Oh, well, the mini tournaments, and these are filled, but we have a Grandmaster." Okay, so I pay my $50, and I win the Grandmaster thing. Well, because I won the Grandmaster, and I'm pretty sure this is how it went, I couldn't sign up for the Open. They said, "You're now a Grandmaster." I said, "Man, get the fuck." I said, "It's a mini tour. You don't have any left." I just pay my $50. I didn't care who I was playing. Oh, Grandma, okay, sure. I'm playing all the top guys. Cool. I'm in. I don't have that mentality. Oh, if this guy's better than me, I'm not gonna play. I mean,
Oh
who
yeah,
in
I don't either.
Yeah, who the fuck thinks like that? Nowadays, that's what it is. They think they'll tell you you're an idiot if you play in some. You're stupid to play in that if that guy plays. You can't win. Man, get the fuck away from me. Just get away from me, you pussy. You know what I mean? Just
They're
get
taking
away from me.
they're taking the incentive to get better out of pool.
Right.
Yeah, so it's more of a entitlement sport than anything. You know.
Right. So yeah, my girlfriend at the time, Marielle Calizo, she comes over to me and she says, "This guy wants to meet you." And I said, "Who's that?" And she said, "Well, this guy, he's got a clothing company." I said, "Oh yeah?" She says, "Yeah." So how'd you meet him? He says, "Well, I was over there and looking, going through the vendors and saw the clothing and went over there, told him who you were, and he wants to meet you." So we go over, and this girl, she was, she comes over, and we go and we meet Tony, and we're talking with Tony. And back then, he had one hat, one shirt. He had the definition shirt, he had the hat with the round logo, and he had the bomber jacket, nice bomber jacket, thick leather, the hustling, and the big hustling thing on the back, the round logo. All the guy had. Didn't have nothing. I don't remember if it was first time there or whatever, but the company had just started, and Tony Chohan, and this guy Trevor was his right hand man. Tony was his player, and Amar, because Tony and Amar were basically together. But those were like their players in San Antonio and Sacramento, and I think maybe this was his first time getting out and promoting his product. And he said, "I hear you're the best player in Vegas." I said, "Yeah, well, whatever, but don't it don't pay. I can pay to be the best." And he says, "Well, I want to give you some clothes, and if you want, you could be my first player rep outside of Sacramento." I'm like, "Hell yeah, fuck yeah!" I'm fucking all excited. And so the deal was I had to put together uh, $1,000 retail, and which was a $500 wholesale, and I got to keep the extra five, so I got 50%.
Right.
I was putting together $1,000 packages like every 2 weeks, some of them every week. I was selling more hustling clothes, but now you got to remember, I didn't just play pool. This is back when I was at the skate park every day. My girl was the right hand woman of Platinum Escorts, which was one of the main escort agencies with all the dancers and the escort. So when they saw, and I knew a lot of them, when they saw hustling, I was selling clothes everywhere, buddy. I was selling them everywhere I went to everybody I met. And so I was pumping these numbers out. And but the thing was in the pool world is I was putting it like I got sponsored. And because I don't remember if at the time I was barred from everywhere yet, but I was probably barred for a couple places, and they knew my struggle. And the pool community, because remember what I said before, nobody wants to support you till you make it, right? So that was kind of like me making it, and then people were buying clothes from me, and they were buying it to support me. And they even told me, if it wasn't for you, Jay, we wouldn't be buying these clothes, but we know you're getting, because you need to pay your rent and this and that, it's putting a strain on your relationship. So everybody was supporting me at the time. So, me and my girl we were broken up. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm barred from every place. And Tony calls me and says, I just fired Trevor. I want you to come to Sacramento and be my right-hand man. But you can't live here because me and my girl live here. I went, what the fuck, right? So I find a place. I rent a room. I rent a room. It's like everything is crazy, man. I rent a room from this couple. Nicest couple in the world you ever seen. The guy's a bodybuilder. The girl's she's like a fitness model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The girl's a fucking 20, and the guy looks like Adonis. He looked like Schwarzenegger, man. I never seen nobody in real life. Like, I seen him on TV. When you see the motherfuckers in real life, you're like, God damn. Yo, like the human body can look like this, but guess what? It's all steroids. When you when the guy when he's showing me around the first day I walk in, he opens up the fridge. The whole door is syringes and vials.
Mm-hmm.
The whole inside is chicken breast, oranges, vegetables. It was like and creatine and shakes.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, God damn, man, and listen, he opened it like it would have been a regular fridge inside, man. He's like, you use the bottom shelf. We moved it around a little bit. You got this little area here, and there's all these needles and fucking valves. Oh my golly, man. So this is who I'm living with. And so Tony, so I had these plans. So I'm really good at whatever I put my mind to, I'm really good at, right? So I'm selling the shit out of his clothes. And but the deal was, I would move down there and be his right-hand man under the condition that he sponsored me in every event. And we were supposed to get on a schedule where we're hitting all the major events. So now I get to play in major events and never worry about it. And he didn't do anything he said he was going to do, but I was still out there selling his clothes, and I was still working hard for him. And so, and he took me to, and it was in Reno. He took me up to Reno to one of the motorcycle rallies, and he showed me where he stole the logos. He's like, "This is where I got the logo," and I just wrote "Hustlin'," put USA in it, so I couldn't steal, couldn't copyright, and all these things. And like, he showed me where he stole all these ideas from. And so I was working on, selling his clothes and this and that, but he's screwing me over, and he's not getting me to events, and he's like not even picking me up, and I'm stuck at this house, and I'm not making any money. And I'm going to the pool room, and everybody, there's a lot of jealous people at the pool room because who's this? Like, they wanted Tony to support them, and here's this guy from out of town, and I had beaten some of the, the better players, and that caused a controversy. And but what happened was I got a extremely large order out of Arizona, and I think it was, if I can remember correctly, like a whole VNEA league made a purchase, and that purchase what put Tony over the line to get into Mueller catalog, because you had to show proof of sales in large quantities to get into Mueller. And once he got into Mueller because of me, he didn't need me anymore. And he just fucked me. So
they had a contract.
But I've never had a contract with anybody. I mean, it is what it is. And those have always made it maybe, but like I say, but I mean, these are support. I've never done anything with anybody that I didn't think was a friend of mine.
Right.
Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't ever think that these people are going to screw me over.
Right.
Especially since I'm the one that's making them successful in the beginning of their stages of their businesses.
Well, I've been a salesman for 20 years. And my whole philosophy was I'd rather somebody screw my old lady than screw me out of money, because at least I can replace her. So if my wife hears this, I'll deny I said that, but
that's a good one.
Yeah. So you're done with hustling. So what happened? Where goes from there?
I don't remember what. I think I moved from there to San Antonio.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's because I've lived in San Antonio a couple times. So I think that's when I moved. Oh no. Wait, where did I move to from then? Oh, maybe I came back home. And then I moved to the first time I moved to Texas, I moved to right outside. It's Killeen and
Austin.
No, Temple, Texas. So I moved to Temple. I had a friend of mine, and he played pool, and there was a lot of pool there. And I moved to Temple, and there was Killeen, and Austin was close, and I started playing there, and the same thing. I won all the tournaments, dominated tournaments, and beat all the top players, and maybe it took about a year for me to get barred from all the local tournaments, and then I could go play in Austin, but the guy wouldn't. He was an older guy. His name was Phil, and he had a wife, and the wife didn't want him traveling, and he had health problems, and so I was just dead in the water there. And I think from there I moved to San Antonio. All these timelines is difficult for me to remember because there's been so many places.
So they used to have a good tournament there in Temple at the Brass Star.
I don't remember. I don't know if I was there at that time.
I never did get to go to it, but I've heard a lot about it.
So at some point in time, I moved to San Antonio, and that was the first time that I started taking over tournaments and starting Calcuttas, because no tournaments had any Calcuttas there, and they had these bar table tournaments at this pool bar little chain called B&N, and this guy would run the tournament, and I asked him, "Can I start a Calcutta here?" And it would really, it used to have like 11, 12 players. Well, before that, I had won all the Fast Eddies, like the weekly's Fast Eddies, and I was dominating the tournament scene, and I had beaten all the top players gambling, and so some of these bar table tournaments were the only places that I could play at this time, and I asked them, can I start? Because there wasn't any money in them. I said, and they only had like 11, 12 players, same people. I said, can I run a Calcutta? And I won't even take no money, but I'll, obviously I can play in the tournaments. And I started running these Calcuttas, and I turned these 12-player tournaments that paid $80 to $120 into 50-player tournaments, 40-player tournaments that paid 6, 7, 800,
Mhm.
and nobody could believe it. And then when I did that, once I did that, I negotiated, I got friends with the owner because, of course, I'm building up the business, and I was able to get my 10%.
Right.
So now I'm winning the tournaments and getting 10% of the Calcutta. I'm winning a lot of money on a consistent basis. Well, a friend of the owners talked him into throwing me out and him taking over the Calcuttas so he could get that 10%. And then it all went downhill from there. But that's when I learned that I was really good at taking a tournament, taking a business, and running Calcuttas and getting blood out of turnips, and really, like, I had a talent for Calcuttas.
So can you do Calcuttas in New York?
Yeah, you can do Calcuttas anywhere. Listen, all that legal, illegal stuff, it's all in the semantics, buddy.
Well, Oklahoma's a little different. And I've only heard one person get busted for doing a Calcutta, and the cops weren't even there for the Calcutta. They were there for the poker game. And they just happened to be doing a Calcutta at the same time and got busted for both of them. But now everybody in Oklahoma is scared to do a fucking Calcutta.
Yeah, yeah, it's terrible. I mean,
It is.
listen, there's a million ways around it. I mean, it's just that's just the bottom line, buddy. They're just scared to do it, and really, for whatever reason that people in life don't do things, a lot of the underlying reasons are they're fucking lazy and they
Mhm.
just don't want to do things. And they can come up with a million reasons. All that illegal stuff, if you name it for charity and you take the 10% and say you're giving, I mean, yeah, obviously you're not going to give it to charity if you're taking the 10%, whatever the fuck it is, but it can be done,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yep. I'll just
So,
change my name to Charity.
you're right. Yeah, right. Create a charity, whatever, however it is, whatever it is.
So are there pool halls there that will let you run events?
Here in Buffalo,
Yeah. No.
no. All the pool rooms are gone. There's one pool room owned by a guy that completely destroyed pools single-handedly in Buffalo. I got a guy that's got a bar that's supposed to be getting in diamond tables. I was just there. If you saw the picture of me, the guy, the owner, he's the president, or vice president of. It's a social club. It's a bar, but it's under different legislation, right? So, yeah, everything's cheap. He's got really good food. Like a drink is like $3.75 for a rum and coke, or $4.12 for, like, it's like sickeningly cheap. The food is sickeningly cheap. Like, we got crab legs and Greek souvlaki with chicken and steak. Each plate was $10. $10 for three clusters of crab legs. $10 for a souvlaki plate as big as your head. I mean, it's just the potential out of this place is huge. So he's got this back room, and he's a really great guy. And I met him at another bar playing pool, and the night I met him, I had gotten everybody up there, because they probably never seen a guy play as good as me. And then next thing you know, see, once again, we'll go back to regular people, right? Regular people want to get up and challenge the best.
Mm-hmm.
So at that night, there was a line of people to play me. And this guy, first, I didn't know him from Adam. He was sitting at the bar, seeing me beat all these people, making unbelievable outs, playing unbelievable. And he just got up and wanted to play. And he played like, I don't know, over and over again. He just kept getting up, betting 20s, betting 10s, whatever it was. And I wish I had more light in here, man. Let me see. Hold on a second.
Right.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. So anyways, I meet this guy, super nice guy. And we get to talking. And he's got a bar. And I'm sitting there talking to him. And I tell him, you know, because I'm not a hustler, so I tell people who I am, you know, and what I've done, and I tell people because in hopes that I meet the right person. You know, that's all. Like that's what I need in life is the right person to let me be me, and we all make a bunch of fucking money on a whole bunch of different levels. I got all these skills, but it's so I just need the right person since I don't have a pool room anymore. And so I tell him this, and I said, hey, man, you know, he's telling me about the bar that he's got, and he's got this back room, and he's got this huge back room, and he's got a couple tables. And I said, well, would you be interested in allowing me to create some tournaments out of there? He says, absolutely. And I told him how I want to do it. And everything that I asked him, he said yes. And then I said, well, would you be willing to add 100? You know, I said, give me your slow days. So it's Monday and Tuesday. So I said, would you be willing to add 100 to the tournaments? He said, sure. I said, you know, and the other thing that I do is I'm not scared to ask for what would make. I'm an idealist. If I can get what I know as the ideal that will guarantee success, that's what I'm going to ask for. Right? Like this reality show that I'm working on with this guy in Hollywood right now. Okay. $750,000 is the budget I want. Okay. That's a low budget, but at the same time, for anything it's difficult to get, but I want to have it where I can have a private investor and we're going to own the show ourselves. So if we do get it sold, you know, to Netflix or whatever it is, we get all the fucking money. I don't want Hollywood to get the money. I want us to get the money. So I always go for ideal. So I ask him, would you add 200 each day? He said, yeah. I said, would you get your tables recovered and brand new balls and brand new cues? He said, yeah. I said, will you make a special just for our tournaments in the kitchen? He said, yeah. I said yes to everything. Everything. So I'm like, man, you know, where are these people in life, man? You know what I mean? Like, why can't I meet more of these people? Well, so, but also, of course, now we go back to reality. He hasn't got and so I go see the place, and I see the two tables, and the one table is like from 1961, just rotted out, fucked up. I said, listen, this thing's going in the garbage. You can't recover this. I said, the other one you can recover. I said, but let me ask you a question. Because there are no diamond tables in Western New York, period, other than this pool room, which I can't do anything out of, would you? I said, you have. He says, well, he says, well, the vendor. I said, well, call the vendor right now. The guy calls the vendor. I get on the phone with the vendor. I said, listen, buddy, I need 2 diamond tables with Simonis cloth. He says, well, I got one. I could put Simonis on it. I said, all right, do that. Get me the second table. He says, all right, I'll work on it. Right. So we leave it at that. So now I'm thinking I'm getting 2 diamond tables. Well, the guy's got a family and he's got this and he's got that. And he was sick. There's a million reasons why none of this. But really, the bottom line is like, it's not a priority of his. Whereas if I was able to be on this guy's ass, the vendors, like all this would already been done. So I'm waiting for these things to go through, and then I will have a space with 2 diamonds that I hope to create everything that I used to create.
Right.
And it'll be a $30 entry. $5 goes to the green fee. I'll have a Calcutta, 10% from the Calcutta, and so. But it's taken so long that the buzz has died down. Like, we'll just see. That's the thing, man. If I can't control everything, then I'm at the mercy of the other people.
Mm-hmm.
And as much of a great guy as he is, and I understand he's got kids and he's doing this, it's just like, the bottom line is not that what does that have to do with me? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you tell me this, and then so hopefully it'll still, everything. And when I went there the other day and talked to him, he said he had signed the contract and he had called the vendor that day, and he's like, I'm going to be on his ass over the weekend and this and that. So, but so that's what's going on here. So the answer is to the question, is there any place that I can run tournaments here? That is the only place that's worth running tournaments if he does that, because this city is behind the times. And like, how there's pool bars now and there's diamond table, like people, everything's diamonds and this and that. Like, this place is like the pieces of shit, old dive bars with the big cue ball that you can't draw and all of this, and there's no real, when you go to those, like the league that I play in, that I started making friends with and meeting all these people, most of them are old timers, and there is no pulse, and there is no leader, and there is no inspirer, and everything is just dying here, and has been dead for a long time. It's not completely dead, but it's it's in hospice. That's motherfuckers in hospice.
On life support, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Jason, we've been at this hour and 45 minutes. Almost got you your 2 hours.
Almost.
Yeah, almost. Well, man, I hope you come back this way sometime. I'd like to get together and hang out, and I'll run you around Oklahoma City as long as we stay away from John Barton.
No, I gotta meet John.
Yeah, I'll even take you to meet him. They've got a good tournament coming up in Olathe, Kansas in June. Evelyn and Danny Dosshart.
I think TV Mike actually begged his way back into that.
That's gonna be a great tournament because she runs a tournament like nobody I've ever seen. And she's got it. It's an art for her. But man,
what is the name of the pool room?
Shooters in Olathe, Kansas.
I was there when I was with Zach Goldsmith, and I ran the Calcutta there. And I'm pretty sure, did I run the Calcutta? Well, that was when, I don't know if I think I did run the Calcutta. I did run the Calcutta. It's where you walk in and then like there's a big tournament desk and it's up high over on the right-hand side and it looks out into the space.
Well, it's in an old grocery store. And when you walk in, the pro shop and stuff is right there on the right-hand side. And in the center of the building is the bar. And then tables wrap all the way around, and then the kitchen's in the back.
No, different place.
There's a Brass Tap in Kansas City, or there's a Side Pockets East, a Side Pockets West. But
Who's the woman? What's the woman's name?
Evelyn Dysart is the one that runs the Midwest Nine-Ball Tour. This pool room here is Dave Matlock's the house pro.
Right. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember. I went somewhere with Zach Goldsmith when I was working with him, setting up live streams.
Mm-hmm.
He screwed me over too. That's another story. We got to have another one of these podcasts. We're going to have a third, and so we got a lot. So yeah, that's another guy that I helped start his career, and he fucked me over. But we did the first Lacey's. Like what we were doing was Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Right.
So what it was he was going around and setting up websites and giving them free cameras for live streams, and then you would subscribe. I think it was OSPN when he started On-Site Pool Network. You would subscribe to the network, and you could get every pool room on the network within the price. And then somebody like me, I had my own separate website, and you could subscribe to me individually.
Right.
So what was going on was everybody was subscribing, and I was supposed to get 75% of my subscriptions and 50% of everything that I helped them set up, or maybe 20 or whatever. Yeah, maybe 50% of everything. Well, meanwhile, everybody's subscribing to my subscriptions, and he's keeping the money to fund our trip. Yeah, how you like that? And I got no idea anybody's subscribing to my websites because I don't have access to the back end. So anytime anybody, the money, it's not like it goes to my bank account, it goes to his bank account. All
right. Man, it's your bedtime.
All right, Chris. Hey,
man,
part three, baby. Part three.
Hey, man, I appreciate you joining us again. Yeah, we'll set up another one in the future. Guys, if y'all enjoy content like this, please hit that like and subscribe button and share it. And leave a comment. Leave a comment and let me know how we're doing. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pooling Around Show. Y'all have a good
I got a YouTube channel, new YouTube channel, Jason Hunt WTBR, Where the Buffalo Roam, that I'm uploading everything to. I got a new TikTok. I just started TikTok. This guy, the producer that I'm working with, he said you got to start a TikTok. So all those things, go subscribe, go like, go share.
Yeah.
And this will be up on my YouTube as well. And so yeah, thank you very much, Chris. You're a great guy. Tell Sean I said hello. Keep doing these things. This is great for pool, man. This is what the pool world needs. The pool world needs the real people and the real stories, because you don't get the real stories. Yeah.
Well, Jason, God bless you, man, and I wish you nothing but the best. And we'll talk to you soon.
God bless you too, Chris. All right,
have a good
bye.
one.